Two deputy heads of the main department for combating organized crime and corruption of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Belarus are now on the new sanctions list of the European Union. This agency is responsible for political persecution, the EU Council has said in its press release. This is about mass illegal arrests and torture of activists and members of civil society.
Today's listings also include various members of the judiciary, namely prosecutors and numerous judges who have issued politically motivated sentences, including against citizens who protested the fraudulent presidential elections of 2020, or who simply voiced their opinions against the Lukashenko regime. Furthermore, restrictive measures are also imposed on the heads of various correctional institutions, prisons and a pretrial detention center, from a publication on the website of the Council of the European Union.
Lukashenko's longtime supporters were also on the list. For example, Irina Akulovich, general director of the largest state news agency Belta, propagandist Nikita Rachilovsky, and former head of Lukashenko's press service Dmitry Zhuk.
These regime propagandists willingly provided the Belarusian public with false information about repression perpetrated by the state authorities, spread disinformation produced by both Belarusian and Russian authorities, and promoted hatred towards democratic opposition and civil society, from a publication on the website of the Council of the European Union.
The restrictions, among other things, provide for the freezing of assets. In addition, individuals from the sanctions list will not be able to travel to the EU countries or even transit through this territory. Now, the EU restrictive measures apply to 261 individuals and 37 legal entities from Belarus. One of Brussels' most important tasks is to stop Minsk's attempts to help Moscow circumvent the sanctions.
The political factor here has much less weight for Lukashenko because getting profit from the role of an intermediary in the trade turnover, attempts to sell under-sanctioned goods both from Europe to Russia and from Russia to Europe, this situation is more profitable for him than just being some kind of favorable person for Putin.
The new sanctions were imposed on the eve of the 4th anniversary of the 2020 presidential election in Belarus. At that time, the regime responded to mass protests against the falsification of voting results with brutal repression. Tens of thousands of people were detained in the country. Hundreds have received long prison sentences.
For exactly 30 years, a pro-Russian dictator froze our country in time, destroying our parliament and our institutions. He imprisoned and killed dissenters, stealing our children's future. Nevertheless, despite decades of repression, we are still fighting for a free, democratic Europe in Belarus. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, leader of the United Belarusian Opposition, on social network X.
There are 1,409 people recognized as political prisoners in Belarus. According to the Human Rights Center Vyasna, more than 90 of them are seriously ill. 65 people over 60 years old were imprisoned on made-up articles. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.